Welcome to Magic Arcanum. I'm Ryan Gomez. Behind the scenes is Nicole Burdick, and we're so glad you're here because it's Star Wars time. Oh boy. Hopefully you can all hear and see me okay. I'm still very new at live streaming. Getting a little better each time I do it though, I think. Everything seems to be plugged in. I see my little levels bar jumping, so I hope you can all hear me. It's kind of a snowy, gross day here in my hometown, Rochester, New York. And it just felt like a good time to hop on and do a fun little live stream. We haven't done one of these in a couple of weeks. I'm excited because this coming weekend is the pre-release for a new Star Wars card game. I have a Star Wars tattoo on my back. I don't know if you know that, but I do. I grew up smacking my brothers with, lightsabers that were basically just cardboard tube rolls. We've all done that. And so I wanted to kind of pay tribute to two of my biggest loves. Well, three. I have a family. That's number one, my wife and daughter, okay? Beyond that, though, magic and Star Wars are like right there. So I thought we would kind of have some fun with that today and show off this cool deck that I teased a few weeks ago now in a previous video called I Know, which was around Valentine's Day and was kind of a play on Han Solo and his whole love scene and all that. But here's the deck. We'll just jump right into it, jam a few games. I don't know if we're going to be doing this for too long, but I just thought it'd be fun to pop on here and get some more experience. So thanks for being here with me. Let's put this deck up. So it's called the Star Wars deck, but it is a standard deck for Magic the Gathering, and it is mostly built around this guy, Kellan the Fey-Blooded. He is our Luke Skywalker. He is our young farm boy who yearns for adventure and wants to learn more about his father. That's like literally Luke Skywalker. Anyway, so he's got this cool ability where he can search your library for an aura or equipment card, reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle. That's his adventure. And so we're going to use that to go and find him some lightsabers. He can join the light side and get the Sword of Forge and Frontier, which is a pretty strong piece of equipment, or he can join the dark side and get the Sword of Once and Future. Now, the deck doesn't have a ton of instants or sorceries that cost 2 mana or less in it, so I don't think we're really using the back half of this, but having this sort of toolbox arrangement where we can get protection from blue or black or red or green, depending what we're playing against, is actually kind of cool. So I like that we have options for our top end swords, and Kellan can go fetch either one of those. But he can also get auras or equipment. So he can also get his droids, R2D2 and C3PO, who are going to be Rabbit Battery and Lion Sash, which are very useful, again, in the right matchups, right? Getting haste and +1/+1 is really good. If you put, I'm calling this R2D2 because it starts with an R. If you put R2 on Kellan, other creatures you control get +1/+0 for each aura and equipment attached to Kellan. So he becomes a 3/3 double strike haste who buffs the rest of your team. That's pretty good, I think. And then the Lion Sash can exile stuff from graveyards, which is super helpful in this meta because there's a lot of people trying to cheat stuff into play through the graveyard. So we can just nip that and prevent them from popping off with their, I don't know, Breach the Multiverse or Behold the Multiverse or whatever goes on down there. We just don't want any of that to happen. So the supporting cast, in addition to the droids and Luke, we've got our version of Princess Leia. She's a rebel leader. This is Jor Kadeen, a 2/2 human rebel with trample, and whenever they attack, they get +X/+X, where X is the number of equipped creatures we control. Well, we got a nice little equipment sub-theme going on here, so we might be able to squeeze some extra power out, draw a card, that sort of a thing. We have Charming Scoundrel, which is our Han Solo equivalent. Makes treasure, has haste, can kind of smuggle cards through our deck with the drawing and discarding, and do some other fun stuff. Also worth noting, between the haste and the trample on Jor Kadeen, those are great characters to equip with our other lightsaber, the dark saber, I guess, the Eater of Virtue, because when either of them die, the Eater of Virtue picks up haste or trample, or if we give it to this random droid, we get protection from multicolored, but whatever. And then those abilities get paid forward to whoever picks up this sword next. So we can build a pretty much unstoppable Kellan by giving him trample and haste and double strike and, just building him up to be an absolute bomb. We also have Kemba in here. This is kind of our Chewbacca equivalent. When Kemba enters the battlefield, they get to snap on some equipment, which is really great with the droids. You play Rabbit Battery on 1, turn 2, drop Kemba, it equips. You get to attack with a 4/4 because Kemba gets +1/+1 from being equipped and from the Rabbit Battery. So there are some explosive turns possible with this deck, which I really appreciate. Up on the top end, we've got our Hex Gold X-Wings, and the Archon of the Wild Rose is kind of my Millennium Falcon. It's a flying 4/4 that can give our rest of our team flying, I guess, if we do it right. We don't have a ton of auras we can put on our own people, but we do have the Unassuming Sage, which is kind of our Obi-Wan Kenobi that can come in and as secretly a wizard or sorcerer and can stick one of these roll tokens on themselves. And we also have a Monstrous Rage, which is supposed to kind of represent Chewbacca pulling somebody's arms off and giving us a little boost with some +2/+0 and trample. So that is the deck. We've also got Return Triumphant, kind of as a nod to Return of the Jedi. We can bring back one of our dead heroes. They are all pretty cheap to cast, so they all work. Ossification is just another good removal aura that Kellan can go fetch up. And it kind of looks like a stormtrooper or something, vaguely Star Wars. And then, so Lightning Helix is kind of our Force Lightning or something like that. It's just really flexible removal, healing, all the stuff that we need. And so this is it. It's a pretty aggressive deck, pretty low curve, mostly a toolbox. We use Kellan/Luke to go grab a sword, slap it on Chewbacca, maybe attack with Leia and Han together. I don't know. There are some really fun things that we can pull off. I've been enjoying this one quite a bit, but I figured I'd show it to you all here on the stream, and maybe you got some advice or suggestions, or we could just kind of hang out and see how this one does. So let's jump into the queue. Get my little face back on here. Hello. All right, cool. So how are you all doing? It's a Thursday, kind of a random day to be doing streams. We're doing it on YouTube, kind of a random place to be doing streams, but so let's see. Are we confident in our ranked abilities? Why not? Let's do it. Ranked, standard ranked, Star Wars. Engage. Oh, ossification is frozen in carbonite. That's way better. Way better. Why didn't I think of that? Yes. Okay, cool. Cool. You guys are on point. Love the theme decks like these. Brewing's favorite joy. Oh yeah. I mean, Magic is all about that, right? Like, why play a stock list? Why copy Seth Manfield's Vampires when you could play Star Wars? Anyway, we've got our Rabbit Battery, we've got a droid, we've got a lightsaber. I think we can keep this. Probably should have like the Unfinity Space Lands, but I don't have those in my collection. They're one of the few cosmetics I have not purchased. We're going to get in for a quick 1 point of damage with R2-D2, the most aggressive droid in the history of the multiverse. Oh, an opponent plays a tapped land. Cool, we get to hit him again. I think we drop our Spectrum Sentinel. R2's going to help out this droid who... I don't really know. I don't have a character in mind for them. I just liked including them because of that protection from multicolored is kind of my way to stop Atraxa, if you can believe it. Just brewed a deck around the number 13 and Tree of Perdition. That sounds awesome. Or unsettling, depending on if you have triskaidekaphobia. Alright, opponent plays another fancy land and passes. Interesting, interesting. We're going to try to get in for 2 more damage with our droid combo. Is great. Love it. They take it. Okay, so they have blue mana. Do we try and drop our sword and see if it gets countered? This might be a make disappear or something. which I think I'm okay with. If they want to, oh, they let that resolve. All right, cool. So now next turn, if our board is intact, we can equip our sword, or we could drop our Obi-Wan Kenobi and use the Force to give it the Sorcerer roll if we need to. Alright, opponent's faithful met. There they go. See, they're doing graveyard shenanigans, so we need to find our C-3PO Lion Sash. That's what we need. Charming Scoundrel, though. Interesting. Alright, so we can, I guess, try to just equip this guy and see what happens here, right? Because even if they kill our Spectrum Sentinel, we still have Rabbit Battery left because the equipment pops off and becomes a creature again. Alright, so I think I'm okay just attacking with this. Soul Partition, interesting. Alright, so that interrupts our attack, which is unfortunate. So we could play Charming Scoundrel. We could just re-equip the Rabbit Battery. I don't really want to drop the Sage without kicking it. I think maybe using Scoundrel, and it's a little frustrating because she has haste, but we don't get to attack with her. But we are going to discard draw, pitch this extra land, and try to find more lands. Alright. Well, Sentinel could be K2SO. Okay. I mean, not part of the original trilogy, but I'll grant it. Opponent with the temporary lockdown. We have Returned Triumphant, which doesn't really get us anywhere. 5 lands. Let's play our Spectrum Sentinel and re-equip. Okay, opponent. Can you handle our droid with a lightsaber? Perhaps there are too many lands in this deck, or not enough like utility lands. Like if this was, I don't know, a creature or something, that might be better. But all right, do I want to overextend into another temporary lockdown? I don't think I do, as much as I want to develop the board. It's a little risky. Every land they've played has gained us a life. Alright. Opponent goes big score, ditches some more scary cards. They have a Praetor in their bin now. Oh my gosh, where is my Lion Sash? Alright, well, we cannot afford to fall too far behind here, so yeah, they get another chump block. Good for them. I guess we do just go for the Sage. And this is where we get 2 for 1 with another temporary lockdown, I'm sure. Creature lands for the Sarlacc Pit. Yes, yes, that's good, because that's the land coming alive. Alright, they have played their one with the multiverse, and now they get free Portal of Fire Action. Alright, so we unfortunately did not find anything fast enough here. We could bring back our Sage. And the cool thing is it's an enters ability. It's not like we have to kick it when we cast it, so we still get to slap the roll on, and we can even equip it. Why not? That gives us a 5/5. They get to bring back their own 5/5. Oh god. Alright, not a great debut performance for the Star Wars deck, but it's fine. Ooh, Kellan. Now this is interesting. Oh, we also have protection from blue. They can't block us with Jin Gataxius right now. That's really interesting. Okay. So do we use Kellan here to go find like a, I don't even know. What do we want? Well, let's start with attacking, because we get to scry. I kind of do want that lion sash, I think. We'll put that on bottom. Because the sword is gonna hit, and we're gonna... Or maybe not. Okay, we walked into a wandering emperor.
Coming off.
Although our opponent forgets that we have protection from
to teach you.
blue, so... Curious. I thought they were gonna just exile us. But they did not. Alright, cool. So we get a hit. We get to, what, Surveil 2, and then we can cast an instant or sorcery. We have 2 lands, which I don't need. I don't think... Oh, we do have Return Triumphant. Do we have anything else in our... We can get back Spectrum Sentinel. Sure. Why not, right? Oh, well, it gets counted. Okay. That's actually good, because now we can use Kellan's Adventure. And it won't get countered. Mythic.deck. Well, you know, some people try really hard. Even in just Platinum rank. You know, it's not even like we're fighting for Mythic here, but... Whatever. It's the last day of the month. I guess ranks still matter. But look at this, man. One of the multiverse. Portal. Arcane Bombardment. Now they get to, like... play stuff for free. This is why we need Lion Sash to devour their graveyard. Okay. So we could, take Ossification and get rid of Jin-Gitaxias. I guess that's more important. Right? Especially because they just put a counter on it, and if we kill it, then it just is coming back anyway. And then, yeah, I guess we might as well play Kellan. So they get a creature card from a graveyard. Wow, they get our own droid. Pacify could be a fun Jedi mind trick. Good point. Do we like Pacify more than Ossification? There's also some Get Losts in here, which just, like, I feel like I need. But I wouldn't mind swapping some of those out for other stuff that Kellan can find, because he can't actually get me a Get Lost if I need it. A second Portal to Phyrexia. Very cool. Okay. So they're going to get 2 creatures back per turn. And they've killed our full board. I don't know if we can punch through all of this at this point, so we just concede and move on to another game. And yep, now they're gonna soul partition our Ossification? Our sword. Okay, that's... So yeah. I think we're just gonna give this one to the opponent. The Empire wins. We're gonna have to pretend this was our Empire Strikes Back moment already. Not a great start, but it's okay. It's fine. Totally fine. Did I have fun? Kind of. Not really, but... It's alright. The spark of the rebellion has not gone out. Let's run it back. And if we flood out this time, we will look at cutting a land or 2. And then we'll never draw enough lands. That's just how it goes. Alright. Okay, so this time, 2 lands, a 1-drop, a 2. Oh yeah, okay, this is looking tight, as the kids say. The only problem is, ooh, we can't play. We need to draw an untapped land. And then we'd be in great shape. This actually works. Okay, so we're going to play our Eater of Virtue on turn 1. And now Turn 2, we've got the Plaza of Heroes, which will let us actually cast Kemba, who then gets to freely equip the Eater of Virtue. That's my plan. 3 Novice Inspectors. Alright. Kemba. Grab the Dark Saber, as we're calling it. Alright, so because Kemba says equipped creatures we control get +1/+1, and the sword gives us +2/+0, Kemba is now a 5/3 on turn 2. Which is more than enough to stop these inspectors. Alright, cool. Where do we go from here? I mean, if we attack in, they just, triple block and kill Kemba, and we only get to kill 2 inspectors? That doesn't seem great. So we're just going to try to drop this sword and hope we're not walking into a counter spell. Okay. So now next turn, we equip sword and attack, because then we'll be able to survive. Ooh. What is this? Sure. Alright. So the one downside of using the Eater of Virtue on Kemba is that now Kemba's exiled and they don't contribute anything to the Virtue pile, and now we can't return Triumphant Kemba. So instead we're just going to play our Archon, which is our Millennium Falcon kind of a card. And it's got flying, so it's actually a pretty good carrier of the Eater of Virtue, or even Sword, because every time we connect with that, it's pretty good. Rabbit Battery. Alright, so my fear here is that this 4 mana is Wandering Emperor, which would exile us on the attack. And so unfortunately the swords don't have protection from white among them. It's the one color we're missing. So let's see. Maybe we kind of diversify threats here a bit. I mean, it's possible they have nothing and they're just gonna crack some clues, but I think we're walking into a trap. I have a bad feeling about this. Wow. Okay. So, Sword of Forge and Frontier gives us 2 cards into exile. We can play an extra land this turn, so we can play one of those lands, and I think I'm even okay playing out our K2SO. And yeah, opponent just wanted to crack some clues. That's good for us. Kind of surprised they didn't at least chunk block the rabbit with one of these inspectors. But we'll take it. Alright. Do I want to move the Eater over to this guy? I guess not. I don't think we need to. Alright. Opponent has a pretty big grip of cards. I'm not really sure what their strategy is here. I guess maybe it's like artifacts, kind of a blue-white artifact thing? They got us with that Gonjo. And they just pass. Curious. Alright. So I don't really want them to gain any life if we can avoid it. So let's Lightning Helix this guy. And we can even pay the extra 3. So now they just have 1 mana left. Do we throw, like, the sword up on the Archon? Is that too many eggs in one basket? Let's find out. No, we're good. Okay. 3, we get a mountain, but we don't have enough to play the helix. I'm going to reconfigure, so if they do wipe our board, we at least keep a rabbit. So I guess in hindsight, we should have just attacked, put them to 3, and then instead of lightning helixing their little life link dude, we could have killed them. We could have won this one, but I didn't know what I was playing around. I mean, if they had like a... Well, let's see if this gets it done. Oh, no, they played a... I missed it. They played a flyer, so of course they're going to just block it. Alright. Have I been playing Standard more lately? If so, what are some of your favorite decks? I have. I've been focusing on Standard because I have kind of a new series out that I call The Question, where I ask people a question inspired by something going on in my life or in my interaction with Magic. And we kind of use that to, oh my god, they made a huge lifelinker. What the heck? Okay. Well, I guess we're just going to have to take that. So favorite decks. I like this Star Wars one. I showed off one a couple weeks ago called Assemble the Titans, which is built around the saga that assembles the Titans, or assembles the Titans. Let me focus on this, and then I'll come back and answer that question. I think what we want here is to play our Jorkadine. Which we can then give a rabbit battery, so he'll have haste. And then, do I want to give him... Eater of Virtue, I guess? That looks pretty good. Alright, so that pumps him up. We get to draw a card. It's Charming Scoundrel. I was kind of hoping for something instant speed so we can kill their lifelinker. They put a bunch of tiny bodies in front of them. Kill him. Okay. Get 2 more looks at the top of our deck. Land and another Jorkadine. Well, there's not really any point in playing that one. I think we go Charming Scoundrel here. And we're going to ditch this Return Triumphant. It's another land. No! Alright, so they are going to get to make another really big lifelinker that we can't do a whole lot about. But it doesn't have trample, and we've got some blockers. And they're going to animate their land, which is really interesting because I feel like they should have kept that to block our flyer. I guess they're going to gain enough life here that they can weather a hit, but we'll see. Sure, so they're going to gain 10 life. Ugh. But I'm actually okay blocking that with our Scoundrel, because she's going to die. She'll get eaten by the Eater of Virtue, and then whatever we play next... I mean... So now if we find another creature and equip Eater to it, they will have haste. So just don't be a land. Get lost. Okay, a little late, but I'll take it. Would love my own lifelinker here, but we'll make do. Okay. So I think we're just gonna go in with the big two. Jorkadine's gonna draw us a card. Twisted Fealty. The lure of the dark side. Okay. Sack a thing, gain some life. Fine. Alright, so both of these are gonna hit for a bunch. We get 2 more cards off the top again. Lion Sash, I'm happy to play. And we might as well play the Scoundrel, just so we have another body. And I think we'll just Wicked roll on herself. Seems pretty good. So those 2 giant hits with their lifelinker definitely threw our rhythm off, but I still think we're like, dare I say, in a pretty good spot. Okay, so they're trying to enchant this with the glyph, so we're going to respond by telling it to get lost. Into the garbage chute, flyboy. And that way they don't get the aura, and they don't get to discover, and they just have some tokens. So they're going to try to buff. Oh, I forgot. The Archon with the Charming Scoundrel, because we gave her her own Wicked roll, she now flies thanks to our Millennium Falcon. Cool. That is what this deck is supposed to do. We just assembled our heroes, gave them the right equipment, and we were able to punch through, even though they gained, like, what, 20 extra life? We basically killed our opponent twice that game. So we have some firepower. We can put out some damage when we need to. Anyway, what other standard decks have I been playing? I try to brew up my own, and I try to show them through some of my videos. So check out the question series, which is sponsored by TCG Home. I gotta say, they've been fabulous to work with. Depends on the vibes. And if we're winning enough that I'm happy. Okay, double Kembas, some equipment, and a rogue, and 3 lands. I think this is pretty good. I don't love duplicate legendary creatures, but I think we're okay. Alright, we're up against Special K from Blade Runner. So what's the move here? Do we Charming Scoundrel and discard one of our extra Chewbaccas? Alright, we are just destined to have Kemba. You see that now. So they played Teachings of the Kirin. They milled... Ah, we got a little mill thing going on here. Okay. So Lion Sash will be really good for us. In fact, I dare say let's play it. Alright, so Lion Sash, we can pay a white to exile a card from a graveyard. If it was a permanent card, we put a 1/1 counter on Lion Sash. Insidious Roots. Alright, whenever one or more creature tokens, excuse me, whenever one or more creature cards leave your graveyard. So if we're gonna... I guess we will take Rutstein now, so they don't get a free plant token. Okay. So that's only for creature cards. So we can take, like, the lands and stuff, which might be worth doing. Do we just keep doing that? I want to keep their graveyard as small as possible. And then we'll make our Charming Scoundrel big enough to attack past their token. Let's see what they want to do here. Nice, nice, nice. I mean, this is interesting interplay, right? Because I'm like, oh, cool, they're on a graveyard deck. We'll just exile their graveyard. But then they're like, well, my enchantment says if you do that, I actually get stuff. We got a real rock, paper, scissors thing happening. Alright, so they played Rubble Belt Maverick. When he enters the battlefield, surveil 2! And they send a creature into the graveyard. Which, again, we could eat, but then they get a plant. So I don't want to eat it. Alright, so we find Kellan, so we can go get our protection from green and red sword, which might be good. We won't have enough lands to play it. I think step 1 is attack with our scoundrel. Okay. What is step 2? Use Kellan. So ossification just gets rid of creatures or planeswalkers. Eater of Virtue is not really great here. I guess it's gonna be the sword because protection from green means that we can ignore. These are all green plant tokens. All right, so they're putting down another another roots. Ooh. And so this guy has an ability. They can exile itself from its graveyard to put a counter on something, but only as a sorcery. So do we just take that away from them right now? I know this is going to make more tokens for them, but I'd rather do it, I guess, on my terms, rather than them exiling it and getting the counters and the tokens. Although these are going to be a problem. Alright, so they're going to try to use the Kieran, to exile their own thing, so we can deny them that by exiling it in response, which again gets them these plants. Brutal. So I think we play the sword, we play Kemba, who gets to grab the sword for free. Now we have protection green, and we have a 6/6. I think we can just hold here for a minute. Because then if we can play Kellan and equip him with something, or... Of course they have a Traxa. Alright, so now we need our droid with protection for multicolored. We need K2SM. Alright. Doing all the fair stuff. I mean, technically, our protection from green does still get us past Atraxa. And honestly, if we play the Sword of Once and Future and equip that on somebody, they will both have protection. I don't know if we'll be able to sneak in 15 damage. Monstrous Rage, though. So unfortunately, playing and equipping this would take all of our mana. Okay, so protection from green on Kemba right now means they could block with this spirit. That's all they can block with. Could play Kellan, but he doesn't have haste. And unfortunately, we can't Monstrous Rage. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going with the Charming Scoundrel. They're going to block. We are going to... Oh, right, we can't give her... I was like, we'll just give her +3 in trample, and then I totally forgot that that doesn't work because I literally just gave her protection from red. I said it in my own brain, and then I forgot that that wasn't going to work. Alright, so now I don't think we can beat an Atraxa. That was like our one window to do it, and I needed to play Rage first before I put the sword on, but I wanted to surprise him. My mistake, my mistake. I got too cocky, just like in the movie. Too many threads to tie together in my limited bald brain there. I just did not think about. So in case you missed it, the sword we had equipped gave us protection from red, which means that that creature can't be the target of our own red spells. But if I had done that first, then equipped it, then attacked, their only blocker was a 1/1, she would have been a 10 with trample. So I guess that still wouldn't have been enough because they were at 15. Yeah. Okay, well. This looks pretty good. Plenty of lands, some early interaction. We have our graveyard hoser if we need it. Don't get cocky, kid. I mean, good against remotes is one thing. Good against the living is something else. Alright. Let's put some early pressure on them here. Or do we set up Jorkadine to get bigger? I guess we'll try that. This is our Princess Leia, our Rebel Leader card. Able to dig deep and draw more cards for us if we need it. Might be about to die to a red herring, no? Okay. Yeah, I don't think we need to block that. So I think we'll try putting the Wicked Roll over here. Unfortunately, that still is one short of being able to draw a card. But next turn we can play and equip a Lion Sash, which will do it. Provided they don't kill anybody in the meantime. Red Herring, not something I've seen played outside of a draft or pre-release, I guess. I don't think I've even seen this in a draft. maybe in your sealed pool. So what are we doing here? Red, blue, blues. Kill our Jorkadine. Sad. No free cards for us. What do we like here? Do we need to get rid of this fish? I mean, it's kind of annoying, right? And I didn't want them to, like, cash it in as a clue if they need to hit a land. So I'd rather get rid of it while they're tapped out. They have 4 lands anyway. But at least now we've got something we can eat with the Lion Sash if we choose. Opponent has shuffled the deck, which is good. You know, you gotta do that. Harried Dronesmith. 4 mana, 2/3 at the beginning of combat on your turn. Create a 1/1 colorless Thopter. Gains haste and then you sacrifice it. Okay. Well, I don't want you to have a free Thopter anymore. So we will blow up that. Then eat 1. Eat 2 permanents. And attack for 4. Okay. How do you think Murders at Karlov Manor draft with play boosters compares to the draft sets? I am not a fan of the play boosters so far. Especially when it gets weird on Arena. I've done a few drafts and the same card will appear in a that is happening on purpose. If it has something to do with the collation of this set, or if those cards are replacing I don't know, list cards or something else that's supposed to be in there but isn't appearing for some reason. I'm really not sure what's going on there. Okay, so they got rid of our Lion Sash, but overall, I don't love the play boosters. I think that, man, what do I want to do here? Yeah, by changing like the number of cards in the pack, the distribution of rares, the whole experience, it feels like a whole new format in a way. And the fact that list cards and special guests and there's all this random stuff in there that can dramatically change how a draft goes now. I don't know. I liked it when you could learn a set, understand the strategies to it, and you could focus on drafting that set. But now you're like, okay, well, green-black deck kind of has a self-mill thing going on, and we want to find Insidious Roots, and that's a good pick for us. And then suddenly there'll be Sir Conrad the Grim, and you're like, oh, this is like a bomb for this deck. Like, why is this even in here? I don't know. Okay, so opponent has deployed an invasion and attacked it, and I'm not paying attention at all. I think what I want to do is try to get in for Sage. Okay, we don't need that one. Okay. So they chump block, but now they definitely get to flip this, but they're only going to have like 2 artifacts, so they're going to have like a 2/4, maybe 3, 4, I don't know. I mean, they got cards in hand, but so anyway, yeah, to answer your question, Grady, I don't like it. I understand that they had to do that for stores. You know, they couldn't stock set boosters and draft boosters and collectors. It was just taking up too much space. And they didn't know what to order and what to stock, and it was just a nightmare for local game stores. So Wizards says, well, we'll simplify it. We'll just put set boosters and draft boosters back together, which is how it used to be. But now you're opening all kinds of weird stuff that really makes the draft harder to understand and engage with, in my opinion. But okay. Opponent really wants to make sure that they get to flip this, so we'll let them do that. No need to throw in a perfectly good Charming Scoundrel. Yep. So the cost is not a factor in your opinion. Well, that is something I had not really considered because my drafts have all been on Arena. I don't really do them in paper. And Wizards of the Coast did send me a box of play boosters, but I've only opened 3 packs out of it just to test out my streaming setup last week. And so yeah, I hadn't really thought that it is more expensive to do drafts and stuff. That's a good point. All right, they have 1 card left in hand. They have no way to crew this. Do we try to slam Kellan and go for like the win? Because if we can stick him and then rabbit battery him, so he attacks as a 3/3 double strike. I guess I should have tried to play the other rabbit battery first to see if we could bait out something. I mean, so yeah, the cost of the packs, not great. But if we look at historically how much boosters have cost compared to like inflation or what they should cost, I think they were kind of underpriced for a while, and they've probably caught back up to about what they should be realistically. Now you can accuse Hasbro and WotC of... Alright, so I guess we are not going to get to have Kellan. Killed him right here. I mean, I might as well get in for 6 damage, though. We can accuse WotC and Hasbro of like being greedy or cash grab or raising rates or whatever. But like, truth is, they're a business. They have employees, although I understand they just got rid of a bunch. But they have bills to pay too, and they've created a product for 30 years now that has incredible backwards compatibility and events and prizes that you can win at your local game store. So it's tough, man, because like we all love Magic and want it to be affordable and accessible for as many people as possible, but they've decided that the best way to do that is through new type of booster pack, and it has a new price point, and that is a difficult thing to swallow in this economy. I know it. Fortunately, Arena kind of softens the blow there a little bit, but I understand even that the gold and the gems, you know, do have a cost to them as well. So Hasbro's really struggling too. I don't like it. The price hike doesn't surprise me. Yes, it is. It does seem like there's an unfair amount of burden put on Wizards, who do seem to be like the only cash positive part of the whole Hasbro empire. Appreciate the viewpoint. Well, you're welcome. I try to be. You know, I'm not a bootlicker or whatever. I'm not saying it's perfectly justifiable and we should all just accept it. Like, I don't like paying more for packs either, and I don't love the experience of drafting with play boosters. But I like that they are experimenting and they're trying and they are keeping the game fresh and alive, which is really hard to do after 30 years. Not every game can do that. So there's going to be some mistakes. This might be one of them, but it's too soon to tell. Are we at the point I can call Magic a bill and then a tax write-off? I cannot give tax advice, but as far as taxing your own hobbies, there are some loopholes you can look into. I'm told. I don't know. But as someone who makes YouTube videos full time, this is my business, and I have to report all the revenue and all the stuff I get from WotC when they send me cards or cool swag. Some of that I can claim or deduct, or business expenses. If I sell a card and then I need to put a stamp on it to ship it out, like I get to deduct the cost of that stamp. Doesn't help a whole lot in the big picture. I mean, I'm self-employed. I don't have health insurance. I don't have a 401k or anything like that. So I need all the dollars, and I know we all need all the dollars. I feel bad asking for Patreons and all that kind of stuff, but if you do like the show and if you're enjoying the stream or any of my scripted stuff, even if you don't have room in your own budget, which I understand, I got some cool links in the description on this video. You can still support the channel just by downloading TCG Home. That's free, and it still counts. They reward me for that. You can still check out Into the AM. I mean, you got to dress yourself at some point, and I get a little kickback when you buy a new t-shirt, and they're really great shirts. I'm not wearing one today, but every other day I pretty much do. Many Worlds Tavern is a coffee that supports gaming charities. Like, they're super cool. I've worked with them a few times. The whole team is great, and we win. So even if you can't, regularly support me, just being here, watching a few ads, clicking a few links, sharing out the videos, that all goes a long way too. And we're all just going to try to make it through as best we can. It's an election year. We got a lot of crazy stuff going on here. We've got wars happening in multiple parts of the world, not country. So all I try to do as an entertainer and as a mustache guy, where's my thing? It's okay to be stressed out and having a tough time. It is okay to wonder about the future and what comes next. But it is not okay to let that run your life for you. Now, I'm not saying you should be an ostrich and stick your head in the sand and ignore everything all the time. But it is okay to put on a stream or a video and just carve out that space for yourself and engage in something fun and uplifting and kind of forget about your troubles, at least for a little while. That's what I do. That's what I'm trying to share with you all. That's why we're here playing a Star Wars deck in Magic the Gathering. And I'm having a lot of fun doing that, and I hope some of it is rubbing off on everyone watching. But that's my piece on that. Alex says, I imagine if you were some kind of Magic streamer, if I was, you could justify buying cards as a business expense. Yes, but there are some very tricky things about how you have to catalog it, what you pay for those cards, and then if you ever sell them later for a profit, it gets really complicated. But if you're just buying them for your own collection and never ever sell them or do anything else with them, then I believe you can write off a good chunk of your card purchases if it's part of your whatever. As a streamer, if I bought like gems or gold for Arena specifically, that would work even better because it's not like I can repurpose those gems or gold later. It's like it's a good or service that immediately works for my business, and that's it. Our opponent respects Chewbacca R2-D2 combo. I have a lighter question. What's everyone's secret to Arena wealth? I see YouTubers with like 100,000 coins and living pack to pack, grinding dailies. Fair question. They have a spirited companion. Do we just nuke that and get in for 4 damage? Or do we play out the sword? Well, I think we're going to save these for later. Honestly, I've been playing Arena since the closed beta, which didn't really help because when they went public, they deleted all the accounts. So I started fresh, but I've had this account for a long time. And I bought like the starter thing for like 15 bucks. And I think lifetime, in like 5 years, I have personally spent maybe $100 total over those 5 years on like gems, just to keep my head to the point above the waves where I could, let me see here, what do I want to do? I guess getting protection from green is good, but we're going to lose the rabbit here because we can't equip it on protection red. But that's okay. So I usually try to buy the Mastery Pass, and I try to complete that each time because it does give you considerable gems and gold and stuff back. Wow, this is interesting. Do I want either of these, or do I just want to smoke this before it gets any bigger and they draw more cards with it? I guess we go with Majora here, because we can throw Eater of Virtue on him and draw cards and attack for a ton. But yeah, a lot of it comes down to just deciding, do I want to open a lot of cards from a given set? I didn't open very much Lost Caverns of Ixalan, and I don't think I'm going to open a ton of Murders at Karloff Manor. I'm just not super excited about either of them. I am saving up a lot for Outlaws of Thunder Junction. I think that's going to be pretty sweet. What did I just miss here? Did they just exile my Chewbacca? No. Oh, we got ossified. Okay, that's actually not the end of the world. Yeah, because we can just equip here. We now have protection from green. We can even attack. He's going to get buffed even bigger. We get to draw. All right. So there's no secret. It is putting in the time. It is being selective about what I buy, and yeah, I'm a sucker for cosmetics. I'd probably spend more on like the cosmetic stuff than I do on actual cards, but just play a little bit every day and keep up those dailies and try to get the 4 wins. That's kind of when the rewards start to drop off. But if you can do that, good game, opponent. There we go. Star Wars wins again. You'll love to see it. Okay. Grady says, hey, Ryan, do you make anything off of YouTube Premium membership views? Kind of, sort of. Yes, I think. So the way YouTube works, I have like a little dashboard on my back end kind of thing when I log in, and it's like, here's all of your videos that you've ever posted. Here's all the comments that are waiting for you to review. Here's how many views you've gotten in the last. I can set it to show day or week or whatever. And it kind of gives me like the health of my overall channel. And as part of that, it says, here's how much money you are making right now as an estimate. And I get a check at the end of every month for the previous month. So there's like a lag in there because they will put together all the premium stuff, all the ad stuff. If I sell any merch or have any referral links or whatever, all of that gets thrown into like a giant bucket and gets held until the end of the month. And then if I make at least $100, then they send me a check, or actually it's set up for direct deposit, which is really convenient. If I ever make less than $100, then they hold that until I make enough that it's worth their time to send me a check. But I've always gotten at least $100. But that is a combination of ad revenue, which is kind of tricky to control. Some months are better than others. In fact, friends, I'll tell you, this past January was the worst ad revenue month in the 4-year history of this channel. January is always kind of a rough one. Right after Christmas and the holidays, there's not as much advertising going on. And so the way that this kind of works, let's go back full face. So businesses actually bid on those ads that run at the beginning, and or middle of videos, right? So a car company might say, hey, we really want to reach as many 18 to 35-year-old males who are college educated and have an income of at least $100,000 a year. And hey, wow, that's like kind of the sweet spot for my channel. So Toyota and Hyundai might both want my ads. And one of them says, well, we'll pay 4 cents per. And the other one says, we'll pay 5 cents per. Whoever ends up winning that gets the ad run. Google, who owns YouTube, takes their 5 cents. Then they keep about half of that. And then I get like the other half. So I might get 2 cents for every ad that you see on one of my videos. And that stacks up, and I have, a couple videos come out per month, a couple thousand views, means a couple thousand ads, but you're getting pennies per ad, so you get a couple $100 off of that. The memberships, or the premiums, or whatever they're calling it, that I just get a flat amount from. It tells me, hey, your videos were watched by so many of our premium subscribers, and so a percentage of their monthly is going to be peeled off and given to you just because you lured them in. So I can't really control how much of that I get, but I do get something. If you're a YouTube premium person and you do watch my stuff, the more of my stuff you watch, the more of that comes to me. Otherwise, they spread it around across everything that you end up watching. But yeah, so YouTube keeps about half of whatever ad revenue. And then the advertisers bid to get those ad slots. And for whatever reason, January, February, they're not bidding very aggressively to get those slots. I expect towards the end of this year, because it's an election year, political money tends to be great. You'll probably see some political ads. I can't control those. They decide based on who's watching what they think is appropriate for you to see. And I can just click allow ads or don't, and I say allow, and then YouTube decides what ad to show you. But those political ads, they'll say, hey, we really want to get votes. We'll pay 8 cents, 10 cents, whatever. They will bid much higher on voting age engaged people. So I tend to do better in election years, but not until like October, November when they're ramping up. And then November, December, you get like the Christmas and holiday stuff as well. So I tend to do better towards the end of the year, but early on, January, February, March are kind of slow. So that's why I'm trying other stuff. I'm doing live streams. I'm trying to engage more on Patreon and have some exclusive stuff on there to encourage patrons. But again, I know that's hard for a lot of people to stomach $5 or $10 a month. I mean, that adds up. But anyway, let's do Star Wars again here. Okay, just signed up for TCG Home with your link. Doing my part. Appreciate it. Really do. It's a cool platform. It's still in beta, but they're adding new stuff. And it's a really neat card tracker. It shows the value of your cards. They're working on their deck builder. And it's going to have the thing that we've always wanted where you enter your collection of cards and it tells you what deck you can build based on your cards. Like everyone has asked for that since cards were a thing, and they're actually doing it. And it's going to be like a free thing. I'm sure down the road they might try to monetize it, but right now they're just trying to build up a user base. And you can, if you're in Europe, you can even link your account to Card Market. But I think they're working on an equivalent United States based service, so you'll be able to put your collection on there, track the value, sell stuff, buy stuff, and they get a commission on those sales. So that's where the money comes from. They've been really cool to work with. Actually, I was just a guest on their first ever live stream talk show called TCG Lobby, which was a real treat. We just recorded that yesterday, and I think you can find them on like Twitter and stuff, and you can watch that if you missed it. But it was a really fun discussion about cards from Modern Horizons 3. They invited me on as like the lore expert. Even though I don't play a ton of Modern, I got to talk about Emrakul and the transforming planeswalkers that we've seen, Ajani and Tameo. So that was a really neat experience. Is there a way in TCG Home to mass import cards from other online card lists? I believe so. You would have to export your other stuff as a CSV, and then you can import CSV into TCG Home. So there's kind of like a step in between, but if you do it that way, I believe you can move your collection over pretty painlessly, assuming your other platform has a way to export as a CSV. But like, yeah, we are getting killed by 1/1 flyers off of 2 swamps, and we are flooding out once again. Let's see if they walk into this Iganga. Really enjoy Riot's monthly live Q&A. I mean, I try to be... Oh, they do. They are going to let us get our Get Lost back. I mean, I'm here for the community. I'm trying to talk to people. It's not enough to just be an entertaining streamer. I have to share all of my wealth of knowledge as well. And right now, how many lands in the row have we drawn here? Good gravy. All right. Guess we're just going to chill. Though a feature on such a site could generate auto-generated semi-random deck based on your collection. So the cool thing is, TCG Home, the creators have a Discord. You can sign up, and there's like a whole channel on there for like feedback, ideas, advice, and they love that stuff. They eat it up. So jump in the Discord. If that's a feature you want, bro, let's make it happen. Let's go. Let's draw Kellan, please. So I can fetch up a sword or something. Come on. Second channel, Tax Arcanum. Alright. Okay, that's not exactly what I wanted, but, I mean, it's something. And we can even protect him with our Plaza if we need to. So Jorkadine's a legend. Plaza of Heroes says, do we want to... I mean, I guess so, right? This land isn't really helping us otherwise. We've got to catch up here. So if they want to burn another removal spell on him, I guess they can. Or they can just spam these Fairy Dream Feats. So what's going on here, opponent? You just have like 1 drops and 2 drops? Oh my god, look at this! Insane! Okay, well. No buffs. No weapons. Did we just walk into another cut down? What's going on? What is happening? We're doing 2 damage. Okay. The race is on. We've got 6, 7. We've hit 8 lands and 1, 2, 3, 4 playable cards. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. Only hope. Alright, they found a 3rd land. Maybe Mishra's Foundry would be good in our deck. I don't know. We're going to kill Gix here so that they don't get to draw more cards off of these things. Finally, we get to pop off. We find our Obi-Wan Kenobi. So I forget, Jor-Kadeen gets +X+X, where X is the number of equipped creatures you control. That counts himself. I thought it was other equipped creatures. So giving him Rabbit Battery gave him +1, and then the attack gave him another +1. Okay, I'm happy with that. Unfortunately, he's dead now. But he did his job. He drew us a card, which drew us a Sage, which we'll get to scry, which will... What is happening? Do I want a second one of these? I mean, it's better than a land. And we'll get to Rabbit Battery it, so attack right away. I guess that's worth. Unfortunately, we cannot keep taking 11 damage.
No more distractions.
Alright, take 11 damage. We're down to 11 health. We can't keep taking
One of
damage.
your friends has to leave.
Wow, they give up their Lily. Or do they? I guess, right? We equip. Is it worth killing her? Because they're gonna just +1 it. We don't have any cards in our hand. I guess we just go damage face here. We don't really need to kill Lily. Lightning Helix though. Okay, so we're behind, but I don't think we're done yet. Like with no cards in hand, their bat does nothing. Lily doesn't really do anything. Okay. So they oof, but now we know go for the throat's coming. Oh dear. Yep. Okay, what are they gonna
I'm tired of your
discard?
secrets.
Wow, okay. They give up a card that would have been impossible for us to deal with. Down to 4. We draw our Lightning Helix. We use it to kill their lifelinker. Do we pop off the rabbit here? I think so, because now we can split these up a bit. Protection from black on a sword. We just need a creature to live. I mean, they could just trade off with the rabbit, which would not be great. In hindsight, maybe. But I also, if they just have 2 loyalty, then they just make us sack stuff anyway. But we know they have removal coming too, so this is kind of an awkward spot. So they do trade for which unfortunately means now they're probably just going to go for the throw of this. We know we're drawing a sword, which we won't have anything to stick it onto. Yeah, I think I got a little greedy there, splitting up my attackers. If I kept the rabbit on, then the rabbit would have survived. Oh, but then they were probably just still -2 to their Lily. So yeah, there probably was no way around this. Unfortunate. This was such a close game, despite us massively flooding out. Trying to decide what to do here. You got 1 land left. Well, 1 mana left, rather. Alright, so we pick up a sword, but we have nowhere to equip it. I mean, right now we're only taking 3 damage. We're not dead. Plenty of stuff we could top deck here. I mean, not really plenty of stuff. I think we need like rabbit battery, or lightning helix. Or a charming scoundrel. Yes, yes. Okay, be wicked. Yes, yes. Equip this. Protection from black. We get to attack. Look at this. Look at this. They go to 1. We get to scry 2 or surveil 2. Yeah, sure. I don't care. Then we get to cast mints in our sorcery. We get our lightning helix to the face from 1. Ah! Use the force. Look at that. Switched off our targeting computer. Right down the exhaust port. Blew up that Death Star. That was pretty good. That was literally Han Solo coming in at the last second. Charming scoundrel stealing the win. Never tell me the odds. Come on. How do you not love this game? Oh man, what's in the store? I haven't looked yet today. Gonna need a minute. Clip and post that win. Yes, brother. I should. I don't know how to do that, but I should. All right. Daily deals. Pick your poison. These are all Karlov cards. I don't think I need any of those. That was pretty flavorful win there. Gotta say. Guess we're grabbing something off our mastery. See, that's why we don't concede. That's why we don't give up. We stuck with it. Got that W. That's funny because I just said there's like a few things we can draw here that do it for us. I hadn't even thought of Charming Scoundrel. Feels good. Feels good. All 25 of you got to witness that. You can say you were there when the Charming Scoundrel stole that win. I don't think we can do it on a single mountain, though. This is better. And I guess we're going to tuck the Millennium Falcon Archon to the bottom. Alright. Spectrum Sentinel. K2SO. Good droid. Look at that. We have like a decent curve here, though. We go this guy, Plaza gets us Jorkadine. If we find a land, we get either of these swords. Up against another red and white deck. Okay. Another tapped land gains us a little bit of life here. I'll love to see it. Everyone's afraid of Jorkadine. Sad. Okay. I mean, we can't equip the Sword of Fortune Frontier here, but getting protection from red against a red and white deck seems good. So they have basically this turn to kill our droid. Well, let's see. Is he gonna die in response? No. Okay. So what? Oh, they can't lightning helix this guy because he's protection from multicolor. So if that's what they were banking on, I guess we're okay. Something else. March of Otherworldly Light. Wow. Okay. So now we need to find Kellan. So we just play him and equip him, or do we send him on an adventure first? I think I just want to keep pressure up. I don't even know what I would like send him to go get because... Alright, well, so far they are matching us card for card, pretty much. And this is where we start to flood out again. Okay. Alright, well, we've won from this position before. I don't love that our opponent has 7 cards in hand. And we are top decking. They pass. Lightning Helix. Pass back. Opponent finds a 4th land. Does nothing with it. Alright. So we can do Kemba here. Snap on the sword. If they try to kill Kemba in response, we go Plaza of Heroes for hexproof. They do not. Alright. I'm not going to be greedy and go for the other sword. We'll just keep Plaza available here. Magic theory question. Do you think a format where your lands are in a separate deck you can choose to draw from, either deck would be worth playing? I have heard ideas like this pitched before, and I think the problem is that there are many, many things in Magic that are costed or built around the idea that your deck is going to be about 1/3 lands. So a card like Divination, 3 mana, draw 2 cards, sorcery, or Quick Study, do it as an instant. That is priced knowing that some of those cards some of the time are going to be lands, which have a different value to them. But if I could play Divination and know for sure I'm drawing 2 cards from the deck that has no lands, and therefore I'm drawing 2 more live cards for sure, then that card becomes probably a lot better than it was intended to be. And when you think about that, there it is, the 1 card my swords can't protect me from.
I've learned much during
Please try
my
to exile
travels.
it.
Let me show you.
Yeah. So this is where Plaza of Heroes, again, helps us out. We can just sack it, make ourselves hexproof. They now don't get to exile us. Because I know people feel like, well, it's really frustrating, I don't draw lands or I draw too many, but that is part of this game by design, for better or for worse. And if you try to... Oh my god. Rude. I mean, it's actually, I guess, okay, because they still just, like, wasted their Wandering Emperor, I guess? Kind of? We still get to replay Kemba. And unless they kept, like, exactly Play with Fire or something. So I know the temptation is, well, we can fix Magic. We can just always have the right mix of lands and spells. There was a game called Force of Will that came out about 5 years ago. That was literally that. You had like magic stones or something on one side, and you had your deck on the other. And I bet you nobody in this chat played that game because it came and went when people got super bored with it. Because once you understood how to correctly construct your deck, and you could always draw a land when you wanted one, and you always curved out, and the matches became super predictable, and the game just kind of flopped because there wasn't strategy to it. There wasn't incentive to... What am I doing here? I can use Kellan to go search for something. Why don't I do this? So again, I'm sorry. I'm trying to split my attention here, but it's cool to monkey around with Magic, and if you want to experiment with your own homebrew version and try land deck, spell deck, try it out. But I think you will quickly find that the games become maybe not as fun as you are hoping them to be, because this might have been too ambitious here again. Perhaps not. Alright, do we just try to kill Wanderer? I'm not too worried about her. But I don't know, you have to ask yourself really, what do you like about... Oh my god, Maybe we put the wrong sword on. What is it you like about Magic? Is it the fantasy setting? Is it the mechanics of gradually
Let
affording
your
bigger
blade
and better
do the
spells
talking.
because you're waiting on those lands to show up and not knowing if they're going to come on time? You got to adapt to what's happening. That's what gives this game so much interaction. That's what lets a player like me, I could sit down with, I'll say Seth Manfield, because he just won Pro Tour Murders at Karloff Manor, and I could face him, and I know, like, he's better than me, but he could still have a bad draw, or he might not foresee my strategy, or whatever, and, can I... So what I want to do is, like, Lightning Helix this guy, and then attack with the Rabbit Battery, but I don't have double red. And I could play Kellan, and then my Plaza would make red, but I got to spend one of the reds to get that one, so that doesn't do it for me either. Okay, so is there a way... Do I just play Kellan and give him both swords? Let's try that while they're tapped out. And I'll have protection from, like, everything, right? Oh. But yeah, you would have to decide in your hypothetical format. Is it just basic lands in that side deck?
Remember
Is it
your training.
duels? Is it lands that come in tapped? Is it... What happens if I put a cycling land in there? I get to trade that for a card out of my other deck? That, you know... I don't know. I think that would make aggressive decks really consistent and oppressive, and it would change how you evaluate even just a simple divination or something like that. It just kind of becomes a whole new game at that point. And if you're looking for a whole new game, I'm a fan of Battle Spirit Saga. I'm looking forward to Star Wars. I play Lorcana with my daughter as often as I can. What did they find? They had an actual white piece of removal. Okay, so we were protected against 4 out of 5 colors, and they had Get Lost. Cool. Cool. So here's what we're gonna... We still don't have the red to play a Helix here and a Rabbit Battery. Absolutely bonkers. Battle Spirit Saga is fun. Played it a few times. Cool. Glad to hear that. They just had their 4th set release. There's some sweet cards in there. They had a Evangelion collaboration. If you like your Japanese animes, they do a lot of cool stuff with that game, and it's designed by a guy named Mike Elliott, who was a former Magic the Gathering designer, and he kind of said, well, what did I like about Magic and what didn't I like, and what can I fix and improve and bring over to this other game that Bandai hired him to do. And so Battle Spirits has a lot of similar energy as Magic, I'll say, but it also fixes a lot of those weird things because
Watch out.
because
I
that was a guy
never
who'd been
give up.
developing Magic cards for a while, and he understood, okay, players are getting frustrated with mana screw, so he found a way to kind of fix that. And Battle Spirits, it's new in America, but that game has been in Japan for like 15 years already, and then they brought it over here, and it's only a 1 year old here. They're celebrating their 1 year anniversary right now.
Strike
And
fast
I
and
like it. Every
strike
time I play it,
hard.
I'm like, this is exactly what I want in a card game, but it doesn't have a giant pool of cards. There's no commander format. So it's hard to find people to sit down and play that one with. But when you find someone and you get in a couple of good games, it's a lot of fun. I think we go sword. I think we equip. Nope, we're not doing the protection red sword, so we actually get to keep our stuff. We get to pop that. We get to surveil a land away. We'll keep Charming Scoundrel on top. We get... Ooh, we could adventure, but I think I want Lightning Helix. to get rid of this emperor while we can.
Until next time, then.
And now we just keep our lands up to protect Kemba with another plaza. That's my plan there. Okay, they're gonna try to ossificate us. So I think we redeem a plaza again here. I also forget Kemba can just create more caps, which is like super good. Okay, well, if they've got it, they've got it. We have burned through all the cards in their hand. They're down to just one, but they've got double memory deluge. So is it worth going to find a lion sash to get rid of those? Casual play, I've played around with a rule in which each player may pay 2 mana once per game within the first 3 turns to either tutor a basic land or review. I mean, again, you're kind of just... I think we go Wicked, right? And then... Once in the future... We'll just stack up all the swords. Get in for 7. Trigger. Think so. Lightning Helix face? Ugh. Didn't find another land, unfortunately. Kemba on top is actually pretty good for us. Okay. There have been other formats. You might want to look at something called Toy Boat, which was, I thought, a pretty clever way to handle this. Toy Boat was, you had a 40-card singleton deck, but you also got to put 4 cards into your harbor, and it was 2 lands and 2 rares. Whatever you wanted, and then the rest of your deck was all commons and uncommons, and you had 2 rares and 2 lands that went in your harbor, and then in their place in your deck you put 4 copies of Toy Boat, which was a unglued card or un something, and the idea is when you drew a boat, you could send it to the harbor and it would retrieve either a land or your rare. Whichever you wanted. Oh, I guess this doesn't super work for me because Kemba doesn't have... Yeah, that's actually okay if they kill him. Toy Boat, Toy Boat, Toy Boat. Yeah, my brother was a huge fan of this format. Alright, so we have protection from red, so we can get in for 4. Charming Scoundrel will certainly get blocked here. So I guess I don't bother sending her. Land. And more equipment. So that was a cool one. It was like pocket-sized commander. You had the boats. You had some flexibility. You could go get, exactly what you needed. If it was early and you needed your land, you send the boat to find some land. If it was late in the game and you wanted your rare to kind of close things out, you'd go fetch your bomb. And so that kind of really helped smooth things out, but it wasn't as overt as every turn you want to land, here's a stack of lands. Any turn you don't, here's something else. It kind of kept it... Okay, so they have blue and red, and we've got blue, black, and if I equip this, we just win? Right? Because now they can't interact with this unless they have a white instant? Good game, opponent, with your just guy control. We got there. Our lightsabers did it. Right, or you could just play the Toy Boat and then you had to say Toy Boat every turn. So like that was a fun solution to the mana problem. I also am a big fan of Battle Box. If you've seen that one, I even designed a whole Battle Box when I worked at TCG Player called the Plane of Thrones. It was Game of Thrones inspired. Battle Box, it's kind of like a cube. You pick like 200 cards that you like and you put them all together into one giant deck. And then each player gets 10 lands. Usually you do 5 basics and then 5 allied duels or whatever. And then on your turn, you can play one of those 10 lands. You pick. And then the next turn you play another one. And so you will hit all 10 lands, but you'll never get more than 10. And if you do 5 basics, those come in untapped. If you do your 5 tapped duels, usually you would do like gates or the probably not the gain life ones, because then everyone is basically starting at 25 life. But like gates are a good one. So you would do maybe 5 basics and 5 gates. So if you want, access to double red to play that Ash Zealot or whatever, you would have to figure out where can I fit in one of my tapped lands to set myself up later. But both players draw from the same deck, and your hand starts at just 4 cards because you don't need that many because you have lands in the command zone equivalent. Can we make this work on 2 mountains? Man. And we're going first. I don't think so. Can we make it work on 2 planes? I guess that's better. And we'll send back the X-Wing. Star Wars, Star Wars. Did you try to make a Hammer Time deck? I'm going to pretend I don't know what Hammer Time is. But Battle Box, you pick all the cards that go in it. And so cards that draw you more cards become really powerful because you're never drawing a land. You're drawing more stuff, and it's going to be a color you can play because you'll have all 10 lands. So there are some weird things that go into designing a battle box. But the experience of, hey, I brought this, we don't need to draft, we don't need decks, we just sit down, put this pile of cards between us, we each get the stack of lands, which I would like sleeve separately so that... what do I want with Kellan? None of these get me a land. I guess Eater of Virtue works? What did they name? Merfolk, okay. So there are other formats that exist already that have addressed the land problem, if we're calling it a problem. Personally, I don't think it is a problem. I do get frustrated when I don't draw the right mix of lands and spells, but I mean, that's also one of the perks of the game. That's why it has lasted 31 years, right? Because it's easy to get good at Magic, but I don't think it's easy to become great at Magic. You've got to overcome some of that, some of that variance. Okay, well, did not hit a 3rd land, but we can make a 3/2. See if they want to trade. And if they trade, then we play Kemba, and she becomes, excuse me. I think of Kemba as Chewbacca, but in Magic, it is Kemba who is a female character. All right, they also have not found a land, so why do I do that to myself? Okay, in for 2. All right, still no. So we'll attack here. They're probably not blocking. We'll play Kemba. Grab the weapon. Give ourselves a 2-mana 5/3. See what that does for us. Alright. So for anyone who's recently joined, we are playing my Star Wars themed deck. It is built around Kellan. He is our Luke Skywalker character. He searches through the deck for various lightsabers, or the Darksaber, as I'm calling the Eater of Virtue. And we kind of have a nice little equipment package going with our Chewbacca Kemba. We've got Han Solo as the charming scoundrel. We've got Princess Leia, the rebel leader, as Jor Kadeen. So So excuse me, whole bunch of legendary characters here who work well with our equipments and stuff like that. So do we attack here with Kemba? I mean, I guess we need to keep pressure on them. Standard, yes, this is standard. I feel like player sentiment towards standard is a weird thing. Some people think it needs rotation sooner. Some people are tired of seeing Atraxa and Shieldred everywhere, and I like it. I think that the card pool is just the right size that you can have some fun and do some unusual brews and builds here, which is, yeah, that's fine. What I try to do, I try to come up with fun, different standard decks that aren't too expensive if you want to experiment on a budget or whatever. Okay, so now we just play another Kemba, re-equip our Eater, and we still have a bomb. Okay, cool. So yes, this is a standard deck built around the toolbox that is Kellan the Fey-Blooded. That's what we're doing. How well do you think Dragon Mage would work in a battle box? 5 mana red, 5 red for 5/5 flying. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, each player discards their hand, then draws 7 cards. I mean, that's like 7 playable cards, right? That is a lot. I would be leery of that card in there. For me, it's more about the tightness of that early game and sequencing your 5 tapped lands with your 5 untapped as you're reacting to what you're drawing, because when I designed my battle box, I put a bunch of like 2 and 3 pipped. It was very devotion heavy to like encourage you to use your lands in a certain direction. We still have not hit another land. We have all these red cards sitting here. Well, I think we just keep the pressure on them, and if they want to trade 2 for 1 again, I'm okay with this. So like that dragon would be probably too good for my type of box. I would not do that, but I did put Windfall in my version of a battle box, because I think that makes everybody discard their hand and then they all draw an amount equal to whoever discarded the most, if I remember right. Which felt a little more fair. Like nobody was going from 0 cards up to 7, unless they were just catching up with somebody who had 7. So that was a bit more like it leveled things out. It was more of a catch-up kind of a thing. I think we're going to use Kellan to go find one of these swords, right? Maybe the green would have been better so we can actually get some lands out of it. But I was thinking I want to answer whatever blue stuff. So that's it. Love standard. I think it's become more popular over the next year than it has been in the last 5 or so. That would be nice. I mean, they're definitely trying to keep the format alive, stretching rotation to 3 years instead of 2. I don't know if anyone saw that really coming. It was kind of a weird thing. All right, so 4 mana, we can't play and equip the sword. They're sitting on 4. They have repulsive mutation. Put a 1/1 or put X 1/1 counters, then counter up to 1 target spell. Blah, blah, blah. So they're gonna throw some counters on this, make whatever we play next countered. And if we try to attack, they probably just crew that. So we are in a bad spot. So let's try to lure out the counter spell and develop our board a bit here. Alright, they give us a Charming Scoundrel. I think we want treasure. And then we still just do nothing. Okay. Speaking of devotion, which god's cycle / set is your favorite? So it's a good question. I like the original 5 Theros gods because they were like new, and I was like playing the game at that time, and I remember reading like the previews or spoilers or whatever, and like Indestructible 5/5. That's insane. How do you beat that? Oh, it's not always a creature. You have to like build up to it. It was such an interesting twist, and like those characters felt, you know, godly. And I think we take this out, and those original 5, just kind of with the new frame on them and everything, they just really spoke to me, and I was like, this is cool. This is magical. This is something only this game can do, and it just worked, man. And I couldn't wait to build like a deck for each of those 5 and like load it up with permanents that would you know, add to the devotion. And then they had their matching weapons too, so you could do, you know, Heliod and the spear together. And so those first 5 were like super cool. But then I like the God Eternals from War of the Spark, because the story behind them, you know, they existed on another plane, they were corrupted by Nicol Bolas, they were killed, they were plated in Lazatep, and then they were dragged into this war on Ravnica, and like, that was pretty sweet as well. And now our opponent still can play this with X being 2 to put 2 counters on something. So that would make this 5, so we would have to pay like 5 extra for whatever we try to play here. So I think we just go with one of our Kellans and see if they want to counter the one Kellan, because then we can play the other if we really wanted to. They do not. Interesting. Alright, well, what's their other card? Does it somehow interact with this Kellan and prevent him from becoming... No. Okay. So he's got protection from multicolored, so we're not worried about Nikanzil. He's got double strike, and he's got 4 power. And we only have 2 mana left, so even though we could try to play something else, they would just counter it. Oh, they do have witness protection, though. Okay. So that drops him down to just a 3/1 with no abilities. Interesting. So I think we do no blocks. Man, because if I could get this sword to stick, but they know we're holding it, right? So they're not going to let us resolve the sword. So do we just play New Kellan? So let's see if we get our attack first. And then let's see if they let us have this Kellan. Because if they spend their counter on that, I would actually be really happy. But I don't know if they're going to fall for it. Okay. So now, let's see, 7, that's 10. So now we drop the sword here. And so assuming they don't find a way to do 15 damage to us. Was the Plane of Thrones list on the Cube Cobra, or was it another site? Great question. I think I have that on Cube Cobra. What was the one? What was the other one? Because there was a... Oh my god, they did have exactly. Took my eyes off the screen for 1 second. That is brutal. What was the other one? Man, I don't know. I will look up my link and share it somewhere. But I made that when I was working at TCG Player, and I'd put the list up somewhere, and then I think that website went offline, and so is Cube Cobra the newer version, because I did port it over to whatever the newest one is. Basically, I have the list, and if you're interested in it, let me see if I can find it. Actually, hold on. Maybe I can just... Bear with me while I do some typing. Is there a way to see? So like I have a Cube Cobra account, but I don't remember my password to log into it. And I'm on a computer where I'm not logged in. I have another computer where I am logged in, but then that one's not doing the live stream, so I can't easily copy and paste the link on here. So I'm just trying to see if I can find it. Maybe I can log in on. Hold on. Maybe I'll remember my login. Let's try it. Yeah, got it. Okay, cool. Okay, and copy. Oh, you found it before I did. Well, there's for anyone else who wants it. Okay. Now I gotta get my panels all back together. And chat. Okay. And OBS. Okay. All right. So we'll do maybe one or two more games. This stream has been going on a bit longer than I had intended, but we're having so much fun, and that last battle was very close. So there we go. That is my list for Plane of Thrones, a Game of Thrones inspired battle box, because that show was having its final season at the time, and I don't know, it just seemed like a cool thing to do. So there are spells in it, but there's, instead of like lightning bolt, because that doesn't really happen in the show, but there is like pillar of flame, because fire is a big deal, and there's a few dragons, mostly like baby dragons, because those are what exist in Westeros for a while. And there's murder and assassination, those types of removal spells. Everything's very flavorful and kind of built around House Greyjoy, and they have their krakens and sea creatures, and so blue has a lot of aquatic stuff, maybe more than a normal set would have. And red was kind of the Dothraki, so that they have a lot of barbarians and aggressive attackers and stuff like that. It was a really cool product. I'm pretty proud of that list. I still have my copy in paper. Black is like the zombies, the White Walkers and stuff. So there's a lot of flavorful bits in there if you're a fan of the books or the show. What are we doing here? We can send Kellan to find... Do I want one of the swords? Do I want a rabbit battery to try to get in a quick attack with Jorkadine next? Which won't be next turn. Indeed. We could do Kemba. Unless they take it away. Oh my. I mean, if they go pinch the battery, that's... Mr. Steal your deck. Alright, we drew into a sword. They killed our Kemba, though. We don't have enough to play and equip Kellan. Guess we just throw down this sword. Save it for a future turn. Uh-oh. So I'm getting notifications that the stream is kind of suffering a bit here. I'm not sure if it's weather's affecting me or if something's going on with my connection at this point. So I think we'll just try to stick with it. But if you guys are unable to see or hear me, let me know. This is probably going to be our last match here based on how things are going. They got Preacher of the Schism. free get lost here. Seems pretty good. And we'll keep up Lightning Helix in case they... We'll take away the bat. And we still have a Kellan that we can send to get our ossification to deal with Acrozats. So that's the plan here. Yeah, I just got the pop-up from YouTube saying that there's an issue with my connection, and I don't know what it is. Really sorry about that, but that's what happens. Choppy, but not too bad. Okay, well, thanks for sticking through it, although I see I've lost about a third of my viewers. We're down to like 19 people. But again, we're probably going to be wrapping up here soon. I mean, I do these streams on a computer I built myself. It's a PC I built from parts that were like budget parts. And I built this thing like 5 or 6 years ago now, so it wasn't great to begin with. So I'm never surprised when it does start to kind of fall apart here, especially going on like 2 hours. That's kind of a lot for this machine to handle, but actually rabbit battery. And then also equip him with the protection from Black Sword. Now we have a 5/5 they can't block. Draw from his own trigger. And then we get... we probably don't need the lands. We don't have any instants or sorceries left in our deck to play with our sword. So we'll just keep developing our mana here. And so we're up to 23, and we have a protection from black creature. So if they have like a red 5 damage burn spell, I guess they get us. But then we would still have the rabbit left, which we could just equip and attack with. So I think we're gonna be fine here. Bloodletter doesn't do it. I mean, we're not taking 23 damage. Okay, I think we win. Yeah, he grows to 6. We can even lightning helix them. And good game. Cool. Alright, let's put the deck up one last time here. I know that things are kind of falling apart, but we've done a good solid 2 hours. Well, maybe not solid, maybe a little rocky, but we'll take one last look at the deck, and then I'll let y'all enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Even Arena's running kind of slow on me, so maybe it's an internet issue here. Alright. And I can even ditch my face so we can see what's going on with the deck. Okay. So again, this deck is inspired by Star Wars. It's kind of a legends and their weapons kind of a build here, built all around Kellan the Fey-Blooded, our Luke Skywalker-ish character, a farm boy destined for greatness, going on adventures, wants to learn about his father. True in both cases. To help him out, he can pick up a lightsaber, right? Because he's got this birthright boon. So he can go and get either maybe Anakin's lightsaber here, the Sword of Forge and Frontier, or he can go to the dark side and pick up the Once and Future lightsaber, which is pretty neat. Helping him out, he's got his droids, R2-D2, the Rabbit Battery, and C-3PO, Lion Sash, very useful pieces of equipment that can Also, help us out, buff the team, eat up graveyards, do all sorts of utility things, just like the droids. Also, lurking down here, we have the lightsaber, which exiles people and copies their virtues, which works really great with our other heroes. Charming Scoundrel, our Han Solo, who has haste and can make treasure and can smuggle cards by letting you draw and discard and do some fun stuff. And Jor Kadeen is our Princess Leia, rebel leader, able to draw more cards if you've got enough forces together who are equipped and ready to take on the evil empire. Lightning Helix is kind of our, I don't know, force lightning or something, a little force push to get stuff out of the way. Unassuming Sage is our Obi-Wan Kenobi, kind of a wizard hiding. Our wizard hiding in plain sight there, which is pretty great. And our Chewbacca is Kemba, who can grab equipment and maybe has a moment of monstrous rage when they rip the arms off somebody who cheated them in a game, perhaps. We've got some other random droids here. We've got the Millennium Falcon, an Archon of the Wild Rose, which can help us all fly and deal a fair bit of damage. And the Hex Gold X-Wing. I mean, it kind of even looks like it in the art there. We've got an X pattern there, but another little piece of flying equipment to support our team. And then we can have the Return of the Jedi if somebody falls in battle. We've got Carbonite Freezing to get rid of some opposing threats. And, if we get a bad feeling about this, we can just get lost along the way. So lots of cool interaction here. Oh, and then, of course, Twisted Fealty. We can corrupt someone and force them to join the dark side or turn them back to the light, as it were, however we choose to do it. And that's kind of just a nice way to close out some games that maybe we weren't going to otherwise. And then the lands, we've got our Plaza of Heroes to support our legends, a single Iganjo, the Seat of the Empire. Just some nice utility coming out of our lands. We need enough basics for that ossification, though, in order for that to work. Overall, I really like this deck. It's a lot of fun. We saw some really great lines of play come out of it, but I'm curious to see what you all think and what your tweaks might be. We had some suggestions to put in creature lands that could be kind of the Sarlacc, the land coming to life and joining in the fight. But otherwise, I think it's pretty tight. The curve is nice and low. We got the toolbox of Kellan here, digging out the exact colors of protection that we need. Our biggest weakness is like white, because we can never get protection from white. In that case, I probably just go Eater of Virtue and start stacking up Trample and Haste and Double Strike from Kellan and just try to build a creature big enough to punch through white. But that's the deck. And I appreciate you all being here for the stream. I see one more question in the chat. Last question. What color is your proverbial lightsaber? I fancy myself a Consular with a green saber. Okay, so I got to remember. I did play Knights of the Old Republic, and I remember that the colors did line up with your type of Jedi. I would probably just have a blue one. I mean, Arcanum's signature color is kind of like a turquoise blue that we use everywhere. And that to me is like the classic Luke or Anakin, I guess. The blue ones, Obi-Wan also had a blue one. He's my favorite character. But I forget what the name of that school or order of Jedi would be who use a blue saber. So I have to go refresh my mind on that. Kind of spent after 2 hours of streaming and playing and doing all of that. But there's my answer. I think I would have like a nice turquoise blue lightsaber. Thank you all for watching. This has been a real treat for me. I'm excited about Star Wars. I'm going to play in the pre-release for Star Wars Unlimited this weekend at my local game store. I'll let you know how that all goes. And in the meantime, if you want to support more streams like this, I got some cool links down in the description. Some of them you can do for free. Get signed up for TCG Home. That costs you nothing, but it looks good on my report card. The more people I can get to sign up for that, the better. If you want some coffee, I got Many Worlds Tavern down there. Every time you make a purchase from them, they make a donation to a gaming-related charity. Like, that's just all around good, wholesome stuff. And Into the AM, they have fantastic clothing. I wear their stuff all the time. Not today because we're doing a little thematic Star Wars, but you can't go wrong with Into the AM clothing. I also have an affiliate link with Dragon Shield, and if you use code Arcanum5, you save 5%. next time you order from them. And we always need more sleeves and binders and all that stuff. So all of those are great ways to support the show. You can also become a patron. That's another awesome, very generous thing you can do. Otherwise, just, subscribe to the channel. That costs you nothing. Like the video. That costs you nothing as well. But it does help my metrics and help people to discover the Arcanum family here, which is what we want. So thanks again for watching. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the great stories you will only find on Magic Arcanum. We'll see ya.